Take a slow breath. Let the weight of the day soften. Here, in this quiet corner of words and wonder, stories unfold like incense in the dark gently, without force. If you find yourself drawn to truths wrapped in human longing, you're in the right place. Subscribe and let the stillness speak. Picture a city that never sleeps, where neon lights hum secrets into the night. In a sleek high-rise apartment, Emily sits on the edge of her bed, her silk robe slipping off one shoulder. The clock reads 2 a.m., but sleep is a stranger. Her husband, James, is sprawled across the sheets, his breathing heavy with whiskey. Tonight, like too many nights, he reached for her with urgency, but no tenderness. The act was mechanical, a transaction of bodies that left her feeling like a ghost in her own skin. She stares at the city skyline, wondering when their marriage became a performance. Across town, in a cozy loft cluttered with books and candles, Sophie pours wine for her best friend, Mia. The two have been inseparable since college, but tonight, Sophie's voice trembles as she confesses. She's been sleeping with her co-worker, Daniel, a man whose charm is as dangerous as it is fleeting. Mia listens, her eyes wide, torn between judgment and envy. Mia's own relationship, a situationship with a musician named Liam, is a roller coaster of passion and absence. Liam's late-night visits are electric, but his silences are colder than winter. Sophie swirls her glass, asking, "Is this what good sex is supposed to feel like? Why do I feel so alive in his bed, but so dead everywhere else?" In the same office where Daniel works, James has his own secret. His assistant, Sarah, lingers too long during their late-night catch-ups. She's young, ambitious, and her smile promises escape from the monotony of his marriage. Last week, their hands brushed over a stack of reports, and the spark was undeniable. He hasn't loved her, but he's addicted to the way she makes him feel wanted. Sarah, though, has no loyalty to anyone. She texts Daniel, boasting about her game with James, unaware of his affair with Sophie. These lives, Emily's, James's, Sophie's, Mia's, Daniel's, Sarah's, are threads in a web of longing, each tug pulling them deeper into chaos. They chase good sex, that elusive spark, believing it will anchor their hearts. But what is good sex? Is it the heat of a stranger's touch, the familiarity of a spouse's embrace, or something beyond the body altogether? Their stories, messy and raw, beg for clarity. And in the quiet teachings of Buddhism, there's a path to understanding that might just untangle their hearts. Emily slides off the bed, her bare feet cold against the hardwood floor. She wraps her robe tighter, as if it could hold her together. In the kitchen, she pours a glass of water, but her hands shake, and it spills across the counter. She's been here before, awake in the dark, replaying the moment James turned away after their loveless ritual. She wonders if he even notices her emptiness. Once they were the couple who laughed over burnt toast, who made love under the stars on a rooftop. Now their bed feels like a stage, and she's forgotten her lines. She thinks of calling Sophie, but the thought of confessing her loneliness feels like peeling off her skin. Instead, she opens her phone, scrolling through old photos, smiles that feel like lies now. Meanwhile, Sophie's loft is warm with candlelight, but the air is heavy. Mia leans back on the couch, her wine untouched. Sophie's confession about Daniel hangs between them like smoke. "He makes me feel like I'm the only one in the room," Sophie says, her voice soft but desperate. But then he leaves, and I'm nothing. I keep chasing that high, Mia, but it's like running after a shadow. Mia wants to scream that she gets it. Liam's touch lights her up, but his absence is a void she can't fill. Instead, she says maybe it's not about the sex. Maybe it's about what you're really looking for. Sophie laughs, sharp and bitter. What like love? That's a fairy tale. Mia doesn't answer, but her heart aches with the same question. Across the city, James sits in his office, the glow of his computer screen casting shadows. Sarah's text lights up his phone, a playful emoji, a suggestion of drinks tomorrow. He knows it's a line he shouldn't cross, but the pull is stronger than his guilt. Emily's face flashes in his mind, her quiet sighs, her distant eyes, but it's Sarah's laughter that echoes now. He types a reply, then deletes it, his fingers hovering. At the same moment, Daniel is in his apartment, ignoring Sophie's late-night call. He's scrolling through Sarah's messages, smirking at her boldness with James. It's a game to him, Sophie, Sarah, the thrill of conquest. But even he feels a flicker of unease, a question he can't name. What is he chasing? Why does every victory feel so hollow? These hearts, tangled in desire, are caught in the same illusion that good sex, whatever that means, will fill the spaces words can't reach. They mistake intensity for intimacy, sensation for salvation. But desire unchecked is a fire that burns without warming. In the stillness of their longing, there's a whisper of something deeper, something Buddhism calls the root of suffering, attachment to fleeting pleasures. Their stories are not just about bodies meeting in the dark, they're about souls searching for meaning in a world that feels too loud, too fast, too empty. The morning sun spills through Emily's apartment, but it does little to warm her. She's in the kitchen brewing coffee when James stumbles in, his hair mussed, his eyes avoiding hers. Late night? She asks, her voice flat. He mumbles something about work, grabbing his mug and retreating to the shower. She watches him go, her chest tight with unspoken words. She wants to ask if he still loves her, if he feels the same void she does, but fear seals her lips. Instead, she texts Sophie, "Can we talk?" The reply is instant. "Lunch, my place." Emily exhales, grateful for a lifeline, unaware that Sophie's own heart is a battlefield. At Sophie's loft, the air smells of jasmine and regret. She's tidying up, pushing last night's wine glasses into the sink when her phone buzzes. It's Daniel suggesting dinner. Her pulse quickens, but the thrill is laced with dread. She knows he'll charm her, make her feel like a goddess for a few hours, then vanish. She types a reply, sure, 7 p.m., and hates herself for it. When Mia calls, Sophie lets it go to voicemail. She can't face another lecture about self-worth, not when she's already drowning in her own choices. But Mia's message is gentle. "I'm here, Soph. Just say the word." Sophie deletes it, her throat tight, and focuses on getting ready for Emily's visit. In the office, James is distracted, his mind on Sarah's latest text, a photo of her in a red dress captioned, "Ready for tonight?" He'd agreed to drinks, telling himself it's just a friendly outing. But the lie feels thin, like paper tearing under weight. Sarah, meanwhile, is in the break room, laughing with Daniel. "James is so predictable," she says, tossing her hair. Daniel grins, but his eyes are sharp. He doesn't care about Sarah's games, he's got his own. Yet as he watches her walk away, he feels a pang. Sophie's face flashes in his mind, her vulnerability a contrast to Sarah's armor. He shakes it off, but the unease lingers. Mia, alone in her apartment, strums her guitar, trying to write a song about Liam. The chords are jagged, like her thoughts. Last night he showed up at 3 a.m. His kisses hungry, his promises vague. She let him in, knowing he'd be gone by dawn. Now she's left with echoes of his touch and a heart full of questions. She thinks of Sophie, of Emily, of the stories they share late at night, stories of chasing something they can't name. Mia wonders if they're all running from the same truth, that no amount of passion can silence the ache of being unseen. Desire weaves their lives together, a thread both fragile and fierce. They seek good sex as if it's a cure, but it's a mirror, reflecting their deepest fears of being unlovable, unworthy, alone. Buddhism whispers that this chase is samsara, the cycle of craving that traps us in suffering. To break free, they must see clearly not just their lovers, but themselves. The path to peace lies not in the bedroom, but in the quiet of their own minds, where truth waits like a candle in the dark. Emily sits across from Sophie at the loft's cluttered table, picking at a plate of fruit. The words pour out her loneliness, James's distance, the way their intimacy feels like a chore. Sophie listens, her own secrets burning her throat. She wants to confess about Daniel, but Emily's pain feels too raw, too close. "I don't even know what I'm doing wrong," Emily says, her voice breaking. Sophie reaches for her hand. "You're not doing wrong. Sometimes it's not about fixing it in bed. It's deeper." Her words surprise her, echoing Mia's from last night. But Sophie doesn't believe them, not yet. She's still chasing Daniel's fire, even as it scorches her. That evening, James meets Sarah at a dimly lit bar. Her red dress clings to her, and her laughter is a drug. They talk about work, then dreams, then nothing at all. Her knee brushes his under the table, and he doesn't pull away. He tells himself it's harmless, but his wedding ring feels heavy. Sarah leans closer, her perfume dizzying. "You deserve to feel alive, James," she whispers. He swallows hard, knowing he's on the edge of a choice he can't undo. Back at her apartment, Sophie waits for Daniel, her heart a mix of hope and dread. He arrives late, his smile disarming. Their night is passionate, but when he leaves before dawn, she cries into her pillow, feeling more alone than ever. Mia, meanwhile, sees Liam's name light up her phone. She hesitates, then answers. His voice is velvet, promising a night she won't forget. She says yes, but as she hangs up, she feels like she's betraying herself. At the office, Daniel and Sarah exchange knowing glances, their games converging. Sarah texts James, teasing about their drinks. Daniel ignores Sophie's call, distracted by Sarah's latest move. The web tightens, each choice pulling them closer to collapse. They all feel it, the thrill, the guilt, the emptiness, but none know how to stop. In Buddhism, this is the truth of dukkha. Life is suffering when we cling to impermanent things. Good sex, like all pleasures, fades, leaving only the craving for more. The Buddha taught that desire isn't the enemy, but our attachment to it is. Emily, James, Sophie, Mia, Daniel, Sarah, they're all caught in this cycle, mistaking fleeting highs for lasting peace. Their bedrooms are battlegrounds, not because of sex, but because of what they seek through it. Validation, escape, love. To find freedom, they must pause, breathe, and look within. The path isn't about denying desire, but understanding it, like watching a river flow without diving in. The city hums outside, oblivious to the hearts breaking within it. Emily finds a note from James on the kitchen counter. Working late again. Don't wait up. Her stomach twists. She knows it's a lie. She saw the way he looked at his phone last night, a smile he hasn't given her in years. She calls Sophie, but the line goes to voicemail. Desperate, she dials Mia, who answers with a tired, "Hey, you okay?" Emily's voice cracks as she spills everything, the cold bed, the silent meals, the fear that she's losing James. Mia listens, her own heart heavy with Liam's latest disappearance. "I don't know how to keep going," Emily whispers. Mia, searching for words, says maybe we're all looking for something we can't find in someone else. Sophie, meanwhile, sits alone in her loft, staring at a text from Daniel. "Busy tonight? Rain check?" It's the third time this week. She throws her phone across the room, tears streaming. She thinks of Emily's pain, Mia's warnings, her own endless cycle of chasing Daniel's affection. She wants to be angry, but all she feels is small. Across town, James and Sarah are at her apartment, glasses of wine forgotten on the table. Their kiss is reckless, a release of months of tension. But as Sarah's hands move to his shirt, James pulls back, his wedding ring burning against his skin. "I can't," he says and leaves, his heart a storm of guilt and longing. Daniel, unaware of Sophie's tears, meets Sarah for a late drink. She's radiant, laughing about James's sudden exit. "He's so predictable," she says, but Daniel's not listening. He's thinking of Sophie's last call, the one he ignored. For the first time, he wonders if he's the one losing something. Mia, alone again, writes a song about letting go, her fingers trembling on the strings. She thinks of Liam, of Sophie, of Emily, and realizes they're all trapped in the same dance chasing good sex, good love, good anything to fill the void. Buddhism offers a lantern in this darkness, the Noble Eightfold Path, a guide to end suffering by living with mindfulness and compassion. Their pain comes from clinging to desire, to control, to illusions of permanence. But there are ways to step out of this cycle, to find peace not in another's arms but within. Here are 3 techniques to begin. First, practice mindful awareness. Pause before acting on desire. Ask, what am I truly seeking? Is it love or escape? Second, cultivate self-compassion. Instead of judging yourself for craving, offer kindness to your own heart as you would a friend. Third, let go of attachment. Not by denying desire, but by seeing it as a wave beautiful but fleeting. These steps, small as they seem, can shift the heart from chaos to clarity, guiding Emily, James, Sophie, Mia, Daniel, and Sarah toward a love that doesn't burn. Weeks pass, and the city's pulse softens, as if mirroring the shift in their hearts. Emily sits across from James one evening, a cup of tea warming her hands. She speaks not with anger, but with quiet courage. "I need to know if you still want us," she says. James, haunted by his night with Sarah, confesses everything: the drinks, the kiss, the guilt. Emily's eyes glisten, but she listens. They talk until dawn, not about sex, but about the silence that grew between them. They agree to try again, not by chasing passion, but by being present, truly seeing each other. Emily starts meditating, a practice she learned from a book on Buddhism. Each morning she sits in stillness, asking herself what she truly seeks. The answer, she finds, is not in James's touch, but in her own heart's quiet strength. Sophie deletes Daniel's number after another unanswered text. She joins Mia for coffee, and for the first time she doesn't hide her pain. Mia shares her own decision. She's let Liam go, choosing herself over his fleeting highs. They laugh, they cry, and they promise to hold each other accountable. Sophie tries self-compassion, a Buddhist practice that feels foreign but freeing. When she feels the ache for Daniel, she breathes, whispering to herself, "It's okay to feel this. You're enough." Slowly, the need for his validation fades, like mist in the morning sun. Mia, too, finds solace in mindfulness, noticing her thoughts without chasing them. Her songs turn softer, less jagged, as she writes from a place of peace. James cuts contact with Sarah, focusing on rebuilding trust with Emily. It's not easy. Trust is fragile, but he practices letting go, a Buddhist principle that teaches him to release his grip on fleeting desires. Sarah, sensing the game is over, moves on, but Daniel surprises himself. He calls Sophie not to charm her, but to apologize. She doesn't answer, and he respects her silence. For the first time, he sits with his own emptiness, wondering if there's more to life than conquest. He reads about mindfulness online, intrigued by the idea of observing desire without being consumed by it. It's a small step, but it's a start. Their stories, once tangled in the heat of good sex, find resolution not in the bedroom, but in the quiet of self-awareness. The Buddhist techniques, mindful awareness, self-compassion, letting go, aren't magic, but they're a map. Emily and James rebuild by listening. Sophie and Mia heal by choosing themselves. Daniel begins to question his chase. Sarah moves on, perhaps unchanged, but the others find a truth. Good sex is empty if it's a substitute for love, for self, for presence. The Buddha taught that suffering ends when we see clearly. In their bedrooms, their hearts, their lives, they're learning to see, not just each other, but the light within themselves. If something in this story stayed with you, don't keep it quiet. Share it. Someone else may be waiting for just this kind of reminder. Subscribe for more stories where heartache meets healing and the unseen becomes known. Remember, even the darkest entanglements can lead us back to light.